What's going on, everybody? Sorry if you hear my kids in the background. It's another sick day here, but I wanted to give you guys a little update video. We're going to go over CleanSpark. We're going to look over a couple of cryptos as well, and I'm just going to go over what's been going on lately. I did want to say CleanSpark's having a great day today, and funny enough, ever since that video going over why CleanSpark has underperformed compared to Mara and Riot, ever since then, CleanSpark has actually been outperforming them. But I did want to look over what CleanSpark's doing on the chart, as well as a couple of cryptos. So let's get into this one. Consider hitting the like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. And first off, let's take a look at CleanSpark. So CleanSpark is up 12% as of this upload. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback towards the end of the day. However, it's definitely a nice day to see CleanSpark up this much. Now, I did want to show you on the chart that we did just break the 50 MA, and that's definitely a good sign. Another good sign is we are now above 250. And I personally think market makers are going to try to keep this above 250 because that is one of the strike prices for options. And now they're likely to not want the puts to print. So now that we broke past 250, I think that's a great thing to see for CleanSpark. But one thing I wanted to mention on the chart here is we still do have a declining 200 MA, and for this to change to an ascending 200 MA, we need a little bit of sideways consolidation and a slow and steady move upwards. So I'm personally just watching for CleanSpark to continue. It doesn't necessarily have to keep popping, with like 12% days, but I do want to see that it maintains and we can see this 200 MA start to curl upwards and maybe even see a break above the 200 MA, and then soon after a golden cross where the 50 crosses the 200. I personally believe this next mining update going over what happened in March is going to be a very huge, and as I've said before, they only need around 14 million in Bitcoin sold for the month to see these $40 million quarters for revenue again. And I do expect them to potentially beat this as Bitcoin has gone up so much recently. But one thing I will be watching for on the mining update is, are they actually starting to hold more coins than they sell? February, we saw them sell more coins than they mined, whereas January we saw them mine more coins than they sold. I personally think it's all going to depend on where they're at for their revenue. I think the execs want to see a year-over-year increase in revenue, and they want to see a beat on this expectation. So anything above 43, 44 million, hopefully they decide to hold their Bitcoin and save it for the future. And I also wanted to pull up the 50, 100, and 200 EMA and show you that it seems like we're finding resistance here on the 100, and the EMAs say this is still bearish. The first thing I'll be looking for is a flip of the 50 to 100. But at this point, technical wise, it's still a little uncertain. We could definitely see some pullbacks as the EMAs and MAs are still pushing down. But I do think this is the beginning of the turnaround where things start looking better and better quarter after quarter. We have got through, in my opinion, all of the pain. But one thing to be aware of is there's definitely still uncertainty with this. They have a pretty low Bitcoin balance. They do have a little more debt than cash, but I do expect in the year 2023, we are going to see profitable quarters again. Next up, guys, I did want to pull up Fantom. This has been outperforming Bitcoin on green days and underperforming Bitcoin on red days. It definitely has a lot more range, and depending on the move of the market, really tells us where Fantom's going to go. If you believe Bitcoin is going to continue higher in 2023, I expect some outperformance for Fantom in 2023. If you expect Bitcoin to continue down over the rest of 2023, then you can likely expect Fantom to go down even more through the rest of 2023. I personally believe this is the beginning of the bull market for Bitcoin. Therefore, Fantom will keep pushing higher. And if we're betting on horses, I do believe this is the fastest moving horse. Now, one thing you'll notice with Fantom is we have had a golden cross, and this was in January. Just like Bitcoin, it did fall back, test its 200 MA, and bounced from it. And the EMAs are looking bullish as well, all ascending, and nearly all of them looking bullish. The 50 is above the 100. However, the 100 is not yet above the 200, but it's getting very close. You can see that they are about to flip as well. I'm definitely very interested in Fantom for the long term. I do expect great performance from this coin. However, on any pullbacks, I do expect larger drops for that of Fantom. But I personally believe the beginning of the bull market has started, and any green days for Bitcoin is going to give even greener days for Fantom. Next up, I did want to pull up Litecoin, and you'll see here that they do have a halving as well, and it's actually sooner than that of Bitcoin. Litecoin's halving is only about 135 days away, and I did want to show you what we typically see for Litecoin, because it does trade halvings differently. What you see with Bitcoin typically is you see a continued run after the halving, whereas Litecoin, usually you see profit taking. So I've been personally buying Litecoin, anticipating the halving coming up, because typically when it's around 100 days from the halving, we do see a nice huge run on it. And something crazy to think about is Litecoin has hit its low back in June and has not came back down there ever since. And you'll notice that Litecoin has also had a bullish golden cross. Keep an eye on this pattern, this ascending channel, and watch that we don't break the bottom trend line. Another thing to watch, as well as this ascending trend line, is the 200 MA, and it's kind of following along the trend line. As Litecoin continues up, it will likely continue to follow this trend line with the 200 MA. But I definitely still like Litecoin where it's at, and I think it's still a great buy where it's even at now. I also wanted to pull up Bitcoin. We're having another pretty nice day today, and it is still very close to its recent top. One thing to look out for with Bitcoin is we are becoming a bit overbought on the daily, and I personally wouldn't be surprised to see us pull back a bit, maybe retest this 26.8 area. You'll see this yellow ascending line that we were trending off of since the beginning of January. We did break it for a short period only to jump right back through it. This line could be used as a support still, or at least retested as a support, but a break of this ascending trend right around this 26.6 area could likely push us back into the 25.2 to see if that becomes a strong support. It was previously a very strong resistance. And in the end, it's fun to look at these short-term trends on the charts. If you believe in the long term of Bitcoin, what's happening on the charts really doesn't matter a whole lot. And what really matters is the halving. We are about a year away from it, and typically we do see a run up to the halving 1 year before then. Bitcoin's halving is just a little over a year away, and it is a good sign that we're seeing some bullish charts. We did see a golden cross on the MA, but in the end, where Bitcoin goes, in my eyes, boils down to the halving, and it has held true so far. I'm curious, guys, where do you think Bitcoin will be on the halving date in 2024 towards the spring? Do you think it'll already be past its previous high of 69,000? Do you think we're still struggling in the 30s by then? Where do you think we'll be at? I think it's very hard to give a price target because of how volatile and how much range Bitcoin can have, but I personally would not be surprised to see Bitcoin back in the 60s by the 2024 halving. But thanks as always, guys. Charts have definitely been looking better and better, and the higher we come up from the bottom, the more and more people accept that that was in fact the bottom. Only time will tell. I personally think the bottom is in, but what do you think about that? Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.